Welcome to my channel. Today I will be discussing with you how to find the right lawyer for yourself. First, a little bit about our law firm and myself. We are a boutique law firm in New York and California. We concentrate our practice on corporate law, intellectual property, and business dispute resolutions. And I am a corporate lawyer by training. I'm licensed in New York. I work on corporate governance matters, mergers, acquisitions, commercial loans, joint ventures, fund formations, and commercial agreements. A little bit disclaimer first. The opinions and views expressed here are for your reference only. They are not meant to be legal advice to anybody. So for you to find the right lawyer to work for you to adjust your specific legal need, I think it's appropriate for me to help you understand overall how the legal profession in the United States works. So before that, let me give you a little bit of overview of how law schools work. Law schools are supposed to train us to think like lawyers, whatever that means. But usually it means that law schools train future lawyers to essentially how to litigate so that we will understand, the constitutional legal framework and statute interpretation, rules of evidence, and civil procedures, criminal procedures, general principles of contracts and torts. But there are over 1 million lawyers in the United States, and a lot of us have never been to the courtroom. Lawyers like trust and estate lawyers, tax lawyers, corporate transactional lawyers like myself, we actually probably never spent one day of our professional life in the courtroom. And so the law has many specialities, and usually you would need to find the specialist to address your particular legal need, unless it's very simple, straightforward matters that anybody who has been trained by law school and admitted by the bar should be able to help you. So there are different service providers in the legal profession, right? There are national law firms, which usually will have two large functions: litigation department and transactional corporate legal services. And then there are mid-sized regional law firms that by and large operate like national law firms, but they have a regional focus. And then there are specialty law firms that focus on labor law issues, law firms that do patent, law firms that do criminal defense, law firms that do trademark. And then you have small practice groups, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10 lawyers working together in a specific community. And then you have solo practitioners, right? So there are, pros and cons among those choices. But generally speaking, large law firms tend to have broader set of skills and a deeper expertise, especially in highly complex areas of law, such as anti-competition, antitrust, just you name it. Yeah. And then small law firms may be more flexible and less costly for you. So you need to balance, the budget and the need. And sometimes, for example, it may be an overkill for you to hire a national law firm to work on very small transactional matters. And they probably decline your work anyway. And so what kind of individual lawyers that you should be looking for when you are in need of particular legal service, right? You should find the lawyers who are equipped with relevant professional background. And you should really try to avoid jack of all trades lawyers unless, again, it's very straightforward situation that anybody who has gone through law school and being admitted to the bar should be able to handle for you. You also need lawyers who are professionally patient and available for you. And so you should try to avoid lawyers who not be available for you, who will not answer your calls and who will not respond to your email inquiries. But at the same time, you should understand that, we make a living by spending our own time, giving advice to people. So don't be surprised if you keep calling a lawyer and then you get hit by a big legal fee invoice. You should you should find a lawyer who is a good communicator, but who is not exactly a yes man to you. You hire him, you pay him or her for their advice, okay, not to follow whatever you think is the right thing to do. Because the law could be very counterintuitive. And you should avoid lawyers who are sort of salesmen who guarantees you certain results that probably are not realistic. And educational background of the lawyers should matter to some extent, at least for a lawyer who has gone through good educational experience. That means when they were young and maybe not so young, they actually made the intellectual efforts to be admitted by decent undergraduate schools or law schools. So how do you actually find lawyers, right? There are reference sources like martindale.com and your local bar association. They are good resources for you to begin with. And word of mouth also helps. But you should not really hire somebody because they are your cousins or they are your friends' friends. You should always find a lawyer who has the background to actually meet your legal need. And you should do your own researches. You should visit the website of law firms. Law firms nowadays usually have a website that would describe the educational and professional backgrounds and experiences of each individual lawyers. And you should meet the lawyers and talk to them. You need to find somebody who you feel comfortable working with. And you should really ask them relevant questions, but don't make them feel uncomfortable. Meaning, lawyers are not going to tell you things that, for example, that involve their prior clients' confidential information or similar things like that. And there are certain practical aspects of working with a lawyer and looking for a lawyer that a client should also need to pay attention to. Before you tell your lawyer too much about your facts and the circumstance, you usually need to tell your lawyer, your potential lawyer, your adversary, whether it's a litigation or a divorce or other similar kind of situation, right? If it involves another side. Or multiple parties, so that your lawyer could run a conflict check before he or she feels comfortable sort of giving you even informal advice. And unless it's for a very small matter, you usually should expect a written engagement letter from your lawyer. And now let's talk about a legal fee arrangement. Most lawyers usually charge by hour, so you should be mindful of that fact. And sometimes if you could reasonably expect upfront how much hours of work you need from a lawyer. You could also negotiate with your lawyer for a fixed fee, or at least a qualified fixed fee. So if due to factors beyond your lawyer's control, they have to spend more time on your matter, so it's reasonable and fair for them to charge you for the additional hours. And usually, lawyers do not work on contingency fee basis, but there are facts and circumstances that are appropriate for these kind of arrangements. A lot of plaintiffs' claims, including personal injury cases, the lawyers get paid on contingency fee. And you also need to pay attention to your legal fee invoices. Be mindful. Try to work with your lawyer and do your part instead of expecting your lawyers to do everything for you. There are certain things that your lawyer expect from you. But your lawyer's legal fee invoice should be detailed, should be based upon 0.1 hour increments, and your lawyer should give you detailed description of how they spend each of the 0.1 hour on your matter. And this is sort of a preliminary, a very brief discussion on this topic. Again, this video may be deemed under the professional rules governing conduct of attorneys as advertisement for legal service. Thank you for your time.